The mirror's reflection. Jenna had always been drawn to antiques. There was something about old objects that felt alive to her, as though they carried fragments of their former owners. So when she found a large, ornate mirror at an estate sale, she bought it without hesitation. The frame was cracked in places, but its surface gleamed like new. The vendor had even mentioned it was over 100 years old. She hung the mirror in her bedroom, right across from her bed. The first few nights passed without incident, but then, strange things started to happen. One night, Jenna woke up to a soft tapping sound. She sat up in bed, her heart racing, straining to hear. At first, there was only silence, but then she saw it. In the dim light, her reflection moved. Her breath caught in her throat. She was perfectly still, yet her reflection was moving, staring directly at her. Slowly, the mirrored version of her tilted its head and smiled, an unnerving, malicious grin. Jenna blinked, and the reflection returned to normal, but the unsettling feeling lingered. She chalked it up to a bad dream, telling herself it was just her imagination. But the next night, the same thing happened. This time, her reflection reached out, as though trying to push through the glass. She screamed, and in a panic threw a blanket over the mirror. After that, she couldn't bring herself to look at it, but every night, she heard the tapping. By the third night, the tapping was louder. It felt like someone was inside the mirror trying to break free. Unable to sleep, Jenna resolved to move the mirror the next day. She couldn't stand another night with it in her room. Morning came and Jenna's determination grew. She grabbed the mirror to take it down, but as her fingers brushed the frame, a jolt of cold ran through her. She pulled back in shock, her hand tingling. For a moment, the surface of the mirror rippled like water. Suddenly, the reflection wasn't hers. A pale figure stood in her place, dressed in a tattered white gown. Its eyes were hollow, and its skin stretched tight over its bones. Slowly, the figure raised a hand and pressed it against the inside of the glass, its fingers stretching and cracking the surface. Jenna screamed and backed away, but it was too late. The glass shattered and the figure stepped out. Everything went black. When Jenna woke up, she was standing in her bedroom staring at the mirror. Only it wasn't her room, not really. Everything looked dull and faded. Her reflection stared back at her, but this time it wasn't hers. It was the pale figure, grinning wickedly from the other side. Jenna tried to move, to scream, but she was trapped, locked behind the glass. The last thing she saw was the figure walking away, now free, leaving her forever imprisoned in the mirror's cold, dark world.